Hi everyone, my name's Brett Jubinville, and today I'm going to take you through a behind the scenes of the bank robbery scene from episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. This scene was especially important to the plot and overall story of episode 2 for a bunch of reasons. It helped us tie a lot of concepts together that were really integral to how the rest of the episode played out, and it also helped us define the character of Thomas Edison early on and really allow us to control what the audience's perception of him would be so that we can play with that perception as the rest of the episode goes on. It was also a scene that needed to look different upon a second viewing, so when we see the flashbacks at the end of the episode of that same scene, your perception of them will be different than when you watched it the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through our initial concept for the scene, as well as show you how it looked in the initial designs, and then talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we faced putting it together. First thing though is I'm going to play the scene for you to refresh your memory.
Here to make a deposit, sir?
Nice to see you again, man. Have a good day, man.
All right, everybody, skedaddle. I'm here to make a withdrawal. I said scram! You're all taking an early lunch. Everyone except you. You're gonna be working a little overtime. Fill her up.
Yes, sir, Mr. Edison, sir?
Oh, right, I nearly forgot. We mustn't forget to invite the guest of honor.
So as I mentioned, this scene was really important for a number of reasons. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the design of the location. We chose a bank robbery scene because of how we initially wanted to portray Thomas Edison. We already know by this point in the episode that Tesla doesn't like him. They have a history, it wasn't a good one, and Tesla has a lot of hard feelings for him. And you probably already knew that before you came and saw this episode, just because it's kind of general knowledge now that Edison stole ideas from him and stole patents, and they did not have, in the end, what Tesla would have described as a good working relationship. Now, there's evidence on that point to the contrary as well, but I think the general perception is that Edison is the reason that Tesla died penniless and alone in a hotel with naught but a pigeon to keep him company. So this scene really needed to convince the audience that he was a bad guy and not just someone Tesla thought was bad. Here's some of the early concepts of the outside and inside of the bank. You'll see that it really does kind of look like this hybrid of a power station and a bank. It's got a very industrial look. The reason for that is because in addition to wanting a bank robbery scene, we also wanted to tie the theme of electricity into it. So we came up with this concept of a place where people would bring canisters of electricity and deposit them like money. Like when you go to a bank, you stand in line, you talk to a teller, you have little pleasantries, and then you deposit your electricity into the power bank. And because we kind of unapologetically just threw this into the episode and didn't bother explaining it, the audience seemingly was just along for the ride. That was really good for us to know, so that moving forward into the next episodes, we kind of know we have the freedom to play around like that, to play around with the world, and that this world isn't exactly verbatim what the real world is like. And that really opens up a lot of opportunities to us when we're writing the next episodes. I want to talk a little bit about our concept for Thomas Edison. Basically, I wanted him to be the Joker from the 1990s Batman the Animated Series, who was portrayed by Mark Hamill. So if you're unfamiliar with that, there was a series in the early to mid-90s that Warner Brothers put out called Batman the Animated Series. And Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, also played the Joker in that animated series, as well as the Arkham Asylum games. And I don't know about anyone else, but for me, that is the quintessential Joker performance, like bar none. We wanted our Thomas Edison to be the Joker of our Super Science Friends world. So he needed to be kind of insane, like a really zany character. And he needed to also be, intelligent and confident, like he's a professional criminal, like he does this all the time. That's the kind of character we wanted to create. A little interesting tidbit is that the voice of Thomas Edison in our show was one of our Kickstarter backers from the first episode. He's the guy that at the end of the first episode in the credits walks in and he's talking about how crappy the episode is and how none of the facts are real. And then he's the first guy to get the apple through the head. When we had him in to record his line for that, he had such a great voice that we knew we needed to cast him as something.
Not to mention that the apple falling on Isaac Newton's head was a total myth. To think that the greatest discovery of all time had anything to do...
So the big challenge with this scene, as I mentioned, was that we needed it to look different upon a second viewing. So later on in the episode, when we see the flashbacks of the scene that Tesla's having, we can kind of look at it and say like, oh, maybe he wasn't robbing the bank. Maybe it's not so cut and dry. And that's why we wrote lines like, you're all taking an early lunch or you're working overtime.
I'm here to make a withdrawal. You're all taking an early lunch. You're going to be working a little overtime.
Those are purposefully vague, but also something that a Joker-esque criminal might say. And then, of course, we padded it with extra lines of the people in the bank that we didn't get to see before saying like, oh, he's so nice.
Why I love working here at Edison Electric. Mr. Edison is the best boss in the world.
So that's why this scene, more than any other one in the episode, was one that we really needed to get right in order for the rest of the episode to work. We needed to misdirect the audience into thinking that he's a typical villain, only to reveal that he's actually not such a bad guy after all.
He's not a bad guy after all, you guys. Oh, I must have just imagined all that bad stuff.
And then, of course, twist it at the end so that we see like, oh no, he is a bad guy. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes video. If you want to see more or if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave those down in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button because we've got episode 3 getting released in less than a month. So look forward to that. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much.